Today I would like to go over about astrology in general, the basics of astrology. Now, what is astrology? Astrology is basically the study of the heavenly bodies in the belief that those heavenly bodies affect destiny, life on earth in some way, shape, or form. Now, does astrology work? You've got to make up your own mind on that and think for yourself. What do you think? Do you think that astrology works, or do you think that it doesn't? So that's something for us to each consider as independent thinkers. We do know that the moon pulls the tides of the ocean. That's a scientific fact. The moon pulls the tides. It has that much of an effect that it pulls the tides of the ocean. Now it brings us to question, if the moon pulls the tides of the ocean, then does the moon have any kind of an impact upon the psyche? Does the moon have any kind of an impact upon the psyche, on our mental state, anything like any of that? What it is it's looking at the planets, it's looking at the stars, it's looking at the cosmos and how everything lines up. It looks at the cosmos as a great cosmic clock. If you look at the solar system, where the planets align with this constellation of stars, with that sign, it looks like a great cosmic clock, okay? And think of the planets as the hands on that clock. So in the ancients' minds, the way that these things line up in this great cosmic clock and two wheels against each other has a lot to do with the state of the cosmos. As above, so below. So if you look at this as a great cosmic clock, we have the planets moving against the backdrop of the stars. Now, zodiac signs and constellations are not the same thing in tropical astrology that is most widely used in the West. Nothing to do with the exact constellations. But we'll get into the differences between tropical and sidereal astrology in another video. So think of it as a great cosmic clock. Our calendar is based on this clock. One full year is a solar revolution. Our days are measured by the Earth rotating. In a lot of ancient calendars, the moon, there were 13 moons. So our calendars are based on it. Our 7 days of the week are named after the 7 heavenly bodies that were most prominent and seem to have a lot of effect. So astrology, our calendars are based on it. A lot of people would argue that that religion is based on astrology. We know that Christmas occurs. Christmas occurs on December 25th. The birth of Christ. Christmas is on December 25th. We know that that falls right next to the winter solstice, when the sun is at its lowest place in the heavens. And after the winter solstice, the sun grows. Days become longer than night until you reach the summer solstice at its peak. So the winter solstice is the longest night of the year, and the sun is reborn. That's what Christmas does, around the time that the sun enters Capricorn. We know that Easter, a lot of Christians celebrate Easter. Easter happens on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox, which is when the sun enters into Aries. So we know that Christmas and Easter tend to be based on this astrological view of the cosmos. Church wants to week on Sunday. It still follows the 7 planetary things. We know that Judaism, the religion of Israel, and the Jewish people, Judaism, a lot of their holidays are also based in agricultural, astrological events. We know that the calendars of a lot of the pagan civilizations are also astrological, all the way from the pagan religion of the ancient Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, all the way to the Druids in the British Isles, all over the world, the Norse, are religious festivals which celebrated mysteries. The mysteries of the religions were celebrated in the festivals. And the festivals of the religions in the world, a lot of them have to do with the stars. Therefore, we could say that the mysteries are contained in the stars, if you follow it like back to how our calendars are based. We know that the earliest records that we have of astrological charts go back to ancient Babylon. This is where we have the earliest archaeological artifacts of natal charts. The Greeks picked it up. The Greeks really developed the astrological system we use today and brought it to Egypt with the conquest of Alexander the Great. After the Alexandrian conquest and with the rulers of the Ptolemaic dynasty, there was a Hellenization of Egypt, where Greek thinking influenced Egypt. So Greek astrology went to Egypt. In Egypt, it was also influenced by the Egyptians and their dividing up of each zodiac sign into 3 decans of 10 degrees each. So while the zodiac signs are 30 degrees each, 30 times 12 is 360, a full circle, the decans had their power as well. We have Hermetic manuscripts that tell us how to make talismans dealing with the stars to make things happen. Now the Hermetic writings go back to around the 2nd, 3rd century, which are probably derived from earlier Greek and Egyptian systems and ways of thought. We know that the Hermetic writings, as shown in the Corpus Hermeticum, in the Asclepius, in the Divine Poimander, that these Hermetic texts go back to the 2nd, 3rd century because they're mentioned by early church fathers such as Augustine. Augustine mentions them in the 4th century. So, the Hermetic writings, Hermeticism is basically astrological. The system of magic is astrological. The view of man is astrological. The path of initiation is astrological. As above, so below. That the stars are a manifestation of us, and we are a manifestation of the stars. As within, so without. So that if everything follows a universal pattern, that a plant follows the same pattern as a human, as an atom, as you find in cells, as you see in the cosmos, that everything has the same universal pattern. That, as above, so below, the rising of the moon, even the path that a salmon takes in a river, are all glimpses into the mind of God. Gnosticism. A lot of times you see an astrological view in Gnosticism, in our path of ascent to the divine. Dante's Divine Comedy shows Dante and Beatrice in its Paradiso rising through the 7 heavens to reach God. Dante's Divine Comedy. In Islam, the religion of the Muslims, in Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him, as they sometimes say, Muhammad went on the Hajj. On the Hajj, Muhammad ascended through 7 heavens to reach God. That's Islam. The ancient Greeks. So basically, understanding this great cosmic clock is understanding the divine. Now, a lot of us are familiar with the map of the solar system as we're taught in school. And this is why a lot of people argue against astrology, is because it does not take into consideration the heliocentric map of the solar system. However, astrology does not show where everything is. Astrology shows where everything is in reference to Earth. We're in that, see, from our perspective, the sun is over here, and past that is Saturn, okay, or Jupiter. So Jupiter and the sun, and here's the Earth. Over here we have Venus, Mercury, so that this is aligned with this. So the astrological geocentric map is correct. It's correct when you're considering how things apply in its position to the Earth. It's not incorrect in that way. Now, there are three things that have to be understood in astrology. Three basic things. Now, there's a deeper level, there's a deeper thing called aspects. I'm not getting into aspects here. Three basic things. And these are planets, zodiac signs, and the houses. Now first, let's look at planets. The ancients divided the human psyche, the cosmos, brought everything down to 7 main forces. We have aggression, Mars. We have lust and love, Venus. We have emotions and intuition, the moon, the subconscious. We have the desire for dominion, to go out there and conquer and to achieve something in the world. We have rulership. We have that drive, which is Jupiter. So that the planets represent energies or basic forces. Around the planets are zodiac signs. Now, in really ancient times, they corresponded to constellations. But today in the West, we don't consider constellations as zodiac signs in tropical astrology. But anyways, we have the planets are basic energies which align with certain zodiac signs. Here's the band of the zodiac. And we see here that the sun is in Gemini. Okay, the sun's in Gemini. We see that Jupiter is in Leo. Here's the Earth. From our perspective, Jupiter and Leo align on its path. Like if you could think of a stream of energy, it would go through that. You understand? So from our perspective, Mars is in Taurus, Saturn is in Pisces, the moon is in Sagittarius, Venus is in Sagittarius, Mercury is in Libra, on the cusp of Libra going into Virgo. So basically, each zodiac sign has a meaning, and each planet has a meaning. So that when the sun aligns with Leo, it means this basic force. When Mars, Capricorn represents business, responsibility, duty, seriousness. It has to do with work, prosperity. Those are some of the traits of Capricorn. So if you get Mars in Capricorn, it'll add aggression to that energy. So that as these planets align with the zodiac, it has this basic energy. So the sun in Gemini means this. Mars, aggression in Taurus. Taurus adds its energy to Mars. So Mars and Taurus come together to mean this. Saturn, Pisces is emotions and the subconscious and feelings and creativity. Saturn in Pisces has this basic meaning. So that's the basic idea of zodiac signs and the planets. Now the houses have to do with where on Earth that you are at what time. So that what is rising, what is overhead, what is setting, what is below, and have to do with basic areas of life, like career, communication, and that is the houses. Thank you for joining me. Once again, this is Taliesin McKnight on astrology.